games.
Got your list of deals done there, Roy?
That's it, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. Loads of them, look at that.
Shall I hold on to that?
By all means, yeah, I just wonder what it was.
Okay, no problem.
My coaching session.
Right, Gary, would you like to start?
Okay.
Thank you for your time, Roy. Can I get any updates on any injury news? I mean, I've got some names, but maybe you want to tell me.
No, it's better. The injury situation's improved enormously. Of course, Mamadou Sakho is still missing alongside Jeffrey Schlupp because these are long-term injuries. We've had to add Cenk Tosun to that list because he got a hamstring injury in the last game that we played against Southampton, so he's been having treatment all week and won't recover. But the only good news with that, of course, is he can't play against Everton anyway, so he's got plenty of time, if you like, to recover for our next game after this one.
And of course you say that, but a blow because obviously he's come in to help you out and then gets an injured quite quickly.
I'm afraid all injuries are a blow, but after the situation we've had, it's quite nice to be going into this game with so many players recovered and a team which is going to look much more like the team we had before the injury crisis struck.
And you mentioned there Sakho and Jeffrey Schlupp. Have you got a timescale for them yet?
No, but they're both quite serious injuries, and when it happened I was told to not count on them being back for months rather than weeks, so I'm afraid there's still some time left on that prognosis.
And the same with Andros?
No, Andros is back.
Okay.
Andros is back, recovered from his injury, as is Joel Ward and Patrick Van Aanholt, as is Christian Benteke, and Luca is no longer suspended. So it's a very different group, if you like, to the ones we've had in the last few weeks.
Can I bore you for one last time for 3 months at least with some transfer questions?
By all means.
Has Nathan arrived yet? Nathan Ferguson?
No, that transfer is still being conducted, and I don't have any update to give you on that one, unfortunately.
But it is one that you think is more likely than not to get done before?
It's a player certainly that we've coveted and followed for a long time, so it's one that we would obviously like to do, but I'm awaiting some more news from Doug Freedman in particular, who's dealing with West Bromwich Albion and the player. So until such time as I get some confirmation or some news from him that I can give to you, I don't have anything to say on it, unfortunately.
With Yannick, the situation in China, Carrasco.
What about him?
The situation in China, would that be likely to help or hinder an attempt to get him on loan?
I didn't know that we were trying to get Yannick Carrasco on loan.
So that's not one that you're looking at?
No.
In terms of outs, Patrick looks like he's going to stay now.
Was there ever any doubt about it?
Again, clubs allegedly believe what you read, interested in taking him.
Well, I'm pretty sure people would want to take Patrick Van Aanholt. In my opinion, he's one of the best left backs in the Premier League. So the fact there are clubs in England, top clubs, that would like him doesn't surprise me one bit, but he's not for sale. No.
And with Connor? Different with Connor Wickham, maybe some loan?
Well, the Connor Wickham thing never changes. I've been answering the question now for 2.5 years. You know, the fact is, obviously, we would love to see Connor Wickham playing some regular football. But of course, to be able to do that, we would have to have a club that comes in and wants to take him, one, and B, we would have to be in a situation ourselves where we thought we could afford to make that decision. So at the moment I can't give you any update on or enlighten you in any way about his situation.
Another one probably will be the same, that obviously, you know, Mitchie has associations with Crystal Palace. Very much a domino effect can happen on deadline day. If Chelsea do, you know, get somebody in, for example. Would there be any chance of him coming back?
Well, I don't know. Once we start talking about domino effects and last-minute transfers, I suppose anything can happen. I mean, it's pretty unlikely that top players in Barcelona, Real Madrid or Juventus will be coming available. But apart from that, you know, the domino effect could come from anywhere. It could be a knock on the door at, you know, an hour or so before the deadline, and would you like to do this? I've got to say I don't really believe in those things. I believe, I suppose, in a more conservative approach. I think the players that you should be getting into your clubs are ones you've researched, players that you've identified as having the right profile, players you've identified as being the right ones for your club and the way you want your club to be run. And that doesn't happen in 2 hours before a transfer deadline because someone just happens to become available.
Just finally then, I'm sure you'll be pleased when the deadline day's over.
No, it doesn't bother me that much. So I'm not saying I don't want to be giving that reputation. I'm one of the people who can't wait to see the end of the transfer window. Quite the reverse. Transfer windows are very important occasions for us managers because it gives us a chance to solve problems that we might have in our squad and bring in players who will improve the team. So I'm not looking forward to the end of it, and I don't mind answering the questions, even though some of them don't really have any relevance to me because they're names which have not been discussed in the club.
So would you like to see anything happen tomorrow?
Well, it depends. That depends on what is happening and how that sort of fits in, if you like, with what I'd like to see happen with regard to the club and us improving our situation. So, it really is quite simply a case of being open to whatever happens, being open to opportunities, if opportunities come our way, and then sort of discussing them on their merit. So that's really how it is. The old adage, wait and see, really has to be the only adage we can work on.
Obviously, you had some decent results, no wins this year, but some good draws against some top teams. What do you think the next 5 or 6 fixtures can bring in terms of getting some more points on the board?
Well, I think the good thing for us is that we'll at least be putting a more competitive squad in the sense that there'll be players on the bench who are not selected to play who are bona fide first team players, and that hasn't always been the case in the last few weeks where a lot of the bench has been players who actually have got no Premiership experience at all and actually no first team experience at all. So we become a much stronger unit, a much more competitive unit, and we've had a good period now with the free weekend to really recover from what was a hectic period and which took its toll on us. We've had a chance to get over that, and I'm hoping that we're going to see, very much the team that has taken us so high up the table, that team playing again and playing to its level again, so that we continue to climb and certainly that we don't fall anyway.
Despite those injury problems, you must be very pleased with your defensive record. I think probably not anybody outside the top 3 teams, maybe one with fewer goals conceded than you.
Yeah, but the game is 2 parts, isn't it? If you want to win matches, you've got to first of all make sure that you're not easy to score against. But if you want to win matches, you've got to score goals at the other end as well. But I think with the players we have in the team now that everyone is coming back to fitness and with the competition there will be for places, I think we have goals in the team as well. But we need to do both, and obviously, like all teams, we work at both aspects of the play. But if the goals are not coming your way for one reason or another, it's very important that you're strong defensively and you don't let many in.
You've been in the game too long to have set a points target for the season?
I don't really think there's a lot of point in setting points targets, really. I don't know what purpose they serve because we work on a game-to-game basis. That is the problem. We play a game and then everything you do is related to the next game, and everything that you're thinking and everything that you're hoping is really building up, if you like, to that next game where you go out and take the field again. So I don't really see there's any great point in looking and projecting 10, 15 games ahead and saying if we can get these points, because it doesn't serve any actual purpose in my daily work.
Just finally, just to revisit in a way the transfer window, but back to where I almost started on that subject, the situation in China, I don't know whether you've heard or not, but it has resulted in their Super League season being postponed.
Yeah.
They don't know when to start, so they're going to start at the end of February. Would that open up the opportunity for some of the players out there to
Possibly, but it would be something that I would have liked us to have been discussing, with regard to that possibility rather than the late reaction. But as I said before, I think it's important to keep an open mind. I think it's important not to dismiss ideas or thoughts off the top of one's head. But on the other hand, of course, I'm sure you can give me lots of names of quality players playing in China, and this could be very difficult for me to comment on them without us having researched them and looked into possibilities.
Thank you, mate.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Jo, did you have a question?
Hi, Roy. Obviously, Palace lost against Sheffield United last time round. Do you think Palace has improved since then? Will it be tougher for United this time round?
No, I don't think we've improved. It was the first game of the season, second game of the season. So no, I don't think we've improved. We thought we were in a good position at the start of the season, that we were, capable of playing well and winning matches. And we went to Sheffield United and played poorly and lost. So I don't think it's a question of improvement or difference. Since that time, of course, Sheffield United have gone from strength to strength and have really shown that, when we played them there, it was only their second game in the Premier League, and everyone was wondering how it's going to go for them because they weren't putting out a team with loads of big names and big money signings. It was pretty much the team which had got them from the Championship to the Premiership. Now we see that team, 24 games on or 22 games on, is a really good team and has played exceptionally well. So I would say, if anything, I'm not certain that we're going to be any better than we were in that game, although I think it was a poor game. So I hope we'll be better, because we had a poor game, but you're not talking about that. You're talking about as a team and the way we present. I don't think we present necessarily better, but I think Sheffield United present better than they were then. They've really proven that they are a team to be reckoned with, and a team that really will be looking more at UEFA places than even considering relegation.
Both teams have a very strong defensive record at the moment, though. They've conceded, only Liverpool have conceded less goals. How will that sort of play out, change your approach going in?
I don't know how to answer that question, how it will play out in terms of our approach. Our approach will be based on what we know they are very good at and what they do. And one of the things we know they do is to defend very well and get bodies behind the ball very quickly, and to defend the penalty area well. But if we're going to score goals, we've got to get balls into the penalty area, because we're not going to score from 35, 40 yards. So I don't quite know how that will affect our approach as such. It just means that we have to make certain the players are prepared for what they're likely to come up against, and that what I'm looking for from us, of course, is the quality that we have in the team to unlock their defence, to make it difficult for them to keep us out. But it will be very much on the individual players that we have and the movements we have up front to try and create those opportunities, and most importantly of all, if we create them, to take them.
And how is the mood generally this week after the loss against Southampton, and obviously incomings, outgoings, new player potential?
Oh, the mood's good. The mood's been fine. The mood in training is good. This is a very good group of players. They are very professional. They train very well, but they also seem to enjoy their life as professional footballers at Crystal Palace and enjoy their work. Of course, when you lose a game, and we hadn't lost, I think, for 5 or 6, we'd had quite a good unbeaten spell when we played Southampton and lost at home. So it's never a good feeling, and the day or two after that, you're not exactly dancing around full of the joys of spring. But on the other hand, you get over that. You know that now it's time to move on to the next game, and as a result, you try to regain that equilibrium, which I think we've had, during my time at the club.
Okay.
Pleasure.
Pete, take the mic, please. Thank you.
Hello.
Steve, Pete.
Chris Wilder this morning has been singing your praises. He's a great admirer of your...
Who?
Chris Wilder.
Chris Wilder.
Great admirer of your enthusiasm for the game, about having taken into consideration how long you've been in the game. Does it ever wane, that enthusiasm, with things like transfer windows, with frustration of getting players in?
No, it's nice of him to say that, and it's always nice to be praised for any qualities that you think one might have. I've got to say that I'm not certain enthusiasm alone would have kept me going for 45 years, and I don't know that it would have won some of the titles that I've won over the 45 years either. I think there's probably a little bit more to me than pure enthusiasm, but it's nice to know that that is being recognised. And yes, my enthusiasm is as it always was. I suppose it does get tempered a little bit with age, but that's pretty just as well, because in the beginning, one's enthusiasm can overpower people or sort of cow them to some extent. So I don't think I can be accused of being guilty of that anymore, but I still have a lot of enthusiasm for the game. I have a lot of enthusiasm for the training and the training sessions that we do, and an awful lot of enthusiasm for working with football players, especially when I find myself in the situation I find myself here at Crystal Palace working with such a good group of players that are such a pleasure to work with, because they do things properly and they do things with a similar enthusiasm and energy to the energy and enthusiasm I try to bring to training.
With what Sheffield United have managed to achieve so far this season, we take for granted that money is perhaps the difference between the top six and the rest of the league. But does it show that the Championship now is of a higher quality, that teams can come in the Premier League and at least challenge for the top 10 positions?
Well, I think it shows more the fact that money alone is not going to guarantee you success, and that there are quality players out there that don't hit the headlines every day and aren't being touted every day by their agents as being worth 20, 30, 40 million. There are players out there that Chris Wilder has found and developed who are every bit as good perhaps as the players that are being touted for those sums. So I'm pretty certain when we refer back to our second game of the season, when they were pretty much a new entity for us, Sheffield United. We'd done our work, we'd looked at the videos, we'd seen the game, so we had some idea of what we were going into, but the names were not names that were household names to us. And arguably at that time the transfer value of those players would be nothing like the transfer value of those players today, because that's really what getting to the Premiership and doing well in the Premiership brings to your football club. But I think all credit to Chris Wilder and Alan Neil for the work they've done there, because they've obviously identified what they need at their football club. They've identified the players, they've found good players, and it just goes to show that you can succeed at a football club if you work that way and you do find good players, without necessarily having to go out and have a war chest of so many tens or hundreds, even as a million, because there's no guarantee that the players you bring in will necessarily be better than the players that Sheffield United have found and worked on, and players would have brought them enormous success.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the broadcast section. Thanks.